Yeah.
So the doctrine of God and Shiism. So Shias, unlike Sunnis, believe in divine simplicity. So it's kind of dogmatic for them to believe in divine simplicity. But the divine simplicity that they believe in is different from our conception. There's not even one conception of divine simplicity in Catholic tradition. But anyway, so the two dominant positions are one that comes from narration. So this view is that basically divides God's attributes into attributes of essence and attributes of action. So the attributes of essence are those that only pertain to essence and would exist regardless of God creating or acting or anything, basically anything that has to do with action. On the other hand, the attributes of action have to do with how God acts. So, for example, they do not say that God has a will before creation. When they say that God has a will, they mean that if he creates, he has a will. So, the moment that God wills is the effect for them. So, the will and the effect are synonymous for Shias, only those Shias who follow the narrations. So, will, mercy, justice, creative action, these are considered to be attributes of action and thus really distinct from God and created. They're just the thing itself. So, when they say act of creation, they mean nothing other than creation itself. So, and when they say God willed X to happen, they mean nothing other than X itself. This is the narrations um, theology. And then there's a philosophers, tradition of philosophers like people like Mullah Sadra and Khaji Nasruddin Tusi. They try to reconcile the Hadith view with that of natural theology because if somebody knows about natural theology, they know that it's impossible for God's will to be created because Aristotle proves that willing is an immanent action. So they have to find some way to reconcile these views. And this is why people like Mullah Sadr try to say that God's will is distinguished into twofold category. First is God's will for himself and God's will for creation. So the first one is basically uncreated, eternal, identical to his essence, but the second one is just created. But that again is still problematic because willing is an immanent action. You cannot arbitrarily say that there's one will, one kind of will which is transient, the other immanent. So the difference is this that they try to reconcile the apparent contradiction in the narrations with the natural theology. And some of those Shia theologians are necessitarians. So they believe that God necessarily created the world. By the same so they believe that God could not have refrained from creating the world. It had to be done. That's the Shia view. So yeah, they believe in divine simplicity, but their conception is erroneous, and we would argue that it's actually really anthropomorphic because it makes divine agency as a created agent who acts by multiple actions to turn out the very essence of the agent.
So true.
Yeah. So explanation.
So actually, what's interesting is that from natural reason we can know that only the Catholic position is true
Exactly.
because we can know that. Well, I mean, I guess some sort of Protestantism might be able to
Yeah,
accept.
because they believe. Yeah.
Yeah, but if we're just like assuming, okay, apostolic churches and other religions, uh, any other religion in the world, including Shia Islam, is not going to be able to accept the Thomistic position on the will of God.
Yeah.
And the
Not
other
just
apostolic,
the will, but yeah.
the other apostolic churches
Mhm.
as well aren't going to be able to accept that. So
Yeah.
allegedly.